Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Oh, Pete, we're no goofing around today. We got a lot to cover.
I'm just going to sit here, and unless you ask me questions, I'm going to let you talk.
Oh, is that how we're going to do it now?
Well, unless I have like something clever to say. Otherwise, go for it.
Oh, whose definition of clever, yours or ours?
Mine.
Episode number 159. Sounds a little hypey, but it's not, because when I get done with today, you're going to be like, it's exactly what I'm going to deliver. So here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Shocking. It's shocking, Peter. Shocking Quickie Idiot's Guide to the world's easiest financial future.
I'm sorry. As soon as you say idiots, I just go like, okay, one of those.
Shocking Quickie Idiot's Guide to the world's easiest financial future.
Hey, Martha, come listen to this. This one's just for us.
If you are looking for a unique financial aid system where you don't have to work a lifetime to end up on Social Security for a few $1,000s a month, this podcast is going to be a huge help to you.
Oh, Jim, this is just for us.
Only because I plan to show you how you can do some easy work once and it pays you over and over and over again. Plus, we plan to give you a comprehensive demonstration on how, shockingly, your education and what most people around you are telling you about your financial future is dead wrong. After this episode, you will have the most complicated part of the real estate investing behind you, so you can push forward and start building your future and quality of life. Unfortunately, so many others say they want to help, but so few have seen this, and but so many people have seen this, and that what they help. I don't know why I got the word "and" in there. I added it too later on.
Here, cross that out.
Yeah, cross that out. Yeah. Unfortunately, so many others say they want to help, but so few have seen this that they had. I'm going to just skip right over the sentence because I have no idea what I'm reading there.
Say from your heart, Bill.
Rest assured you are not the only one going through this financial future strain. There's just no reason you should wrestle with this another day. So let's get started with your bright, shiny financial future, because it's really not that hard.
Yep. That's why I chose it.
Yeah, exactly.
The clock was ticking. The hourglass was like getting to the last grains of sand. Here we go.
So the first thing you have to realize is that the reason why most people, we were talking about this because we were in Boston at a seminar this past weekend, and we spent a lot of time together in a car, and gracefully you let me smoke my cigars. Thank you very
Bill,
much.
I think I smoked that with you.
And yes, you smoked that cigar with me. And we ended up at the end of the weekend at some cigar bar, and I got pictures of Peter smoking a cigar.
Smoking my own cigar.
Drinking whiskey and having a good old time. So, guys thing, right?
Yeah.
Some people may not think that's fun, but we do. So there you go. Or I do.
Well,
let's put it that way.
nice to go someplace and just have to just sit down and talk, and except for the phone, nobody knows where you are.
Exactly. So one of the things that we had talked about is the reason why people choose real estate, right? And I have this kind of like inside observation after dealing with so many, support tickets, coaching clients, lectures, seminars and all that stuff.
No, it's real insight. You got some real insight from your perspective.
So what I realized is the reason why people gravitate to real estate so easily is because it's one of the few things you can do on this planet, or in America anyways, that you can work once and get paid multiple times, which is why it's so appealing. Your regular job, your business, because there's not many ways. I just wrote this, I think, in an email or somewhere. I don't know where I wrote it. But there's really only a few ways that you can get money. Mm-hmm. It's like you get a job and swap hours.
Yep.
Right. You could run a business. Mm-hmm. Right. And hopefully after years worth of work and you put a system in that it works, right? So there's not many places that you really get money, right? You could do the stock market, but the problem with the stock market is once you put it in, you could put it in, you put $5,000 in, and it's great and all hunky dory if you don't lose it. It's a little bit like rolling the dice, right? But more importantly, once you pull the $5,000 out, it stops performing.
Yep.
Where real estate, you could put a lot of time in. You can actually buy a rental property or a lease option property or a subject to property like we talk about all the time, and you put a whole lot of work up front in, right?
Yeah.
And, it just keeps producing. I've got properties, I get checks every single month. I make anywhere from $220 per door to $1,000.
Yeah.
And do I have to work on them? Yeah, maybe an hour a month, but that's the hard work has been done. The hard lifting's been done. So that's one of the reasons why it's so powerful, is because everything that we desire in a financial future is that. And it's not that it's passive income, because I don't particularly believe in passive income, ironically enough. You can't just put something on an automaticity and expect it to run forever. It's like kind of like driving down the road with your car on cruise control.
Yeah.
Sooner or later you got to put the brake on, and sooner or later you got to shut the cruise control off. It can't just drive by itself.
The guy in front of you always slows down.
Something happens, or the rain or snow or a curve or a hill or whatever. There's always something.
Yeah, but it's minimal though. It's an hour here, an hour there, a few hours. But that's good to keep knows you. It tells you you're still alive. You don't want to be sitting there in a chair. You want to know that you're still kicking.
Kiyosaki talked about in his Cash Flow Quadrant book, which is a cool book to read.
Yeah.
Is the thing to do is to be able to have enough money or enough passive income. He calls it enough passive income or passive profits to exceed your normal debt. Right. So if you need $4,000 a month to live, right, then you need to make $5,000 or $6,000 a month with your passive income. Whether it be a business or real estate. And with real estate, that's not hard to do.
Yeah.
If you need $4,000, then figure out how you can make $7,000 or $8,000. So if somebody doesn't pay, your financial security is not upset that much, right? And the object, and the reason for me bringing this up, and then this wasn't even in my notes, we're just kind of chatting. So the reason why we're bringing that up is because what he talks about is true wealth is the ability to receive income with the least amount of work, right? And he's not talking about like work in the beginning. Like in the beginning, you might work really hard to buy an apartment complex or, buy a subject to deal or, find a wholesale deal or whatever. That's the true work. And then once you get it, then the rest of it just kind of falls in play.
Right.
Right. And so after a while, what you'll end up doing is you'll end up not wholesaling every single month, because wholesaling is just a job. After a while, you'll end up with some subject twos, that have 20-year mortgages still left on them, and you can sell them on a rent to own and put people on 5 and 10-year leases and just let them pay out.
Yep.
As life goes on. Depending on what your financial future is.
Right. So,
getting back to the show, easily getting a financial future is not a fantasy. I want people to get that. It's not a fantasy. Truth is, it's just not taught in schools or universities. Okay? It's actually a funny thing, right? I'm going to choke. That's what's funny. Okay. Schools teach you to read, write, do math. They touch on history, maybe some geography, right?
Yeah.
And
if they're the capital of places, for whatever reason, that's supposed to be important.
And how to pass a test.
And you know what else? Follow instructions.
Okay.
And I say that because you get a job and you follow instructions. You get another job, you follow instructions. You kind of do what you're told. Don't upset things, and you get a paycheck at the end of the week. Okay.
So they teach history, maybe some geography, and then how to pass the test, which is probably the worst of them all, right? They don't teach you application and getting results, right? But instead, hope you memorize the materials, and then ask you, and never ask you, can you actually demonstrate your understanding of the information that you just memorized?
Sure. Using it. Application. It's important.
All right.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, more to the point, your finances are, for the most part, left out of your education. I mean, my kids were, I was divorced when they were young, and my ex-wife did an amazing job raising them. I did an amazing job paying for it, right? and everything was cool, except later on when they became, what I asked her to do was raise my children.
Yeah.
Totally screwed up. I have very few regrets in my life. This is one of them. I should have told her, don't raise my children. Raise me some adults. Because when they hit high school age, and they get ready to go on their own, what happens is they don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know what car insurance is. They don't, we had to teach them how to drive. They were raised wonderful as children, but they weren't raised as adults. They weren't raised to go into the future or go into society and actually fend for themselves and actually apply something or do something that would reward them with pay.
Sure.
Now they went to college and, they've got college debt up to the yin yang. And here I am still trying to fight all of that, trying to teach them real life things. Right. And I don't think I'm much different than many Americans.
Sure.
Right. Unfortunately for us Americans, one of the largest profitable businesses in this country, and look it up on Google, it is the largest profit center in this country, is lending kids college funds.
Ouch. I thought you could say real estate, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's bigger than real estate. It's bigger than real estate. And the reason why is because they've passed laws that you can't bankrupt those loans. So what happens is that there's no, once you take those loans, you're stuck with them. There's no way of getting out of them. I mean, they literally put you in jail if you don't pay them. I mean, it's like that.
That's crazy.
That bad, right?
And my son's 38. We'll finally pay his loans off this year.
Right.
38. Even
more outrageous, most think that being rich is for the lucky sperm club. some specialized business owner, right? Maybe a lottery winner, or just a crude gold digger. You've heard of those women that marry men and say, "Oh, she's a gold digger," right? Marry rich men.
Bill, can men be gold diggers?
I guess. Truth be told, very few people don't really know how to get money, right? Even me. There's times where I just don't know how to get money. I'm locked up. Or if they know how to get it, they don't always know how to keep it or make it grow.
Yeah, that's just as important. Really wealthy people, if you really take a look, talk to them a little bit, they're good at hanging on to it.
Right, and these are in very special clubs. I mean, they're guys I don't want to say myself, but people like me that have figured something out, and I teach it to people around me. I teach it to my children. I teach it to a nephew, or you know what I mean? I teach it to people around me. So the more wealth they accumulate and the more they learn how to get the money, the more they have to bring to the family that want to learn how to do it. So it's kind of like this very, I want to use the word esoteric. Esoteric means very few or for the one. Right.
Not too many people know. It sounds like something that's in the clouds.
Which the opposite of that is extroteric, which means everybody knows it.
I haven't heard that one. Bill, you got one on me.
Yeah, extroteric.
Extroteric.
Yeah, which means everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Esoteric means very few know it.
Yeah.
Right. It's for the one or for the very few. So what happens is these schools are little pockets around the country, right? So how do I know this? Because in the richest country in the world, which is America, right? 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, right? And more than 50% of those, or more than 50% of Americans don't have a retirement fund. Worse than that, 47% don't make or don't have more than $400 for an emergency.
That's the one that's really most disturbing to me.
7%.
$400.
Don't have more than $400 for an emergency.
Yeah.
So this leaves us with, this leaves us down to, where do you learn how to get money? Or where do you get advice from,
Mm-hmm.
right? Most get financial advice from those who have struggled, right? You must look beyond the dumb advice from a struggling family member, because that's usually what happens, right? Or the TV pundits. You know, a pundit is like a talking head.
Yeah.
Right, meaning that they show them from their
chest up,
boobs up. We'll do that.
Man boobs.
Yeah, whatever.
Sure.
Maybe from an article you might read online. You know, I got news for you. Everything online is not right. They could be like saying things that are not correct. Maybe TV commercials. Maybe cute quotes on Facebook. You know, there's like where are you getting information or where are you getting advice from, right? You got to look beyond all that noise and confusion, and behind there you'll find people that will help you. Because I can tell you that every money person that I know, and I know a few because they fund my deals, but every money person I know, they know they have money, they know they're above average, and they know they have something to offer. And I have yet to meet one that doesn't want to help somebody else have money.
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, if you have money and you help other people have money, it doesn't take, if you help people with money, it doesn't take your money away.
Right.
You don't lose money helping somebody else make money. It doesn't. Right. It's not just a limited commodity that we're fighting over. You make more. You create more products. You create more things, and you have more to share.
So actually, it's the quitters and the pretenders that you have to watch out for. Right. If you just kind of look at those, we were talking about this on our coaching call the other day with my coaching group, and I wrote this 20 commandments for negotiation just for the coaching group. So we've been covering that. It's taken us several weeks to cover it because I've kind of given the philosophy behind the paragraphs, and we were talking about manners and just being polite and what's behind that, and why people how they have to be genuine and they're not. You can't pretend with manners. You can't pretend. You know, like one of my coaching clients said, so when I go in the room, I shouldn't say to them, "Oh, nice piano," or "I like the piano," or you know, he's like trying to say things to impress the person they're talking to instead of really meaning it. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's a pretender, right? So if you mean it like you're really interested in the piano, then go for it, right? So what it really comes down to, and we talked about this the other day when we were in Boston, is it's really if you're interested, not interesting, right? So
it's like look at the other person, don't look at me. Attention should be that way toward them.
So like the coaching client that was talking about the piano, oh, what a nice piano. He's trying to be interesting. He's trying to be like movie stars in Hollywood. They're trying to be interesting. But you know, the other day I was laying in bed and I watch old movies a lot. You know, I watch Turner Classic Movies and you know, I watch like reruns of I Love Lucy. You know, and I learn a lot from that stuff. You know, I just watch a lot of black and white TV, and it occurred to me, how many movies have been made? Like books, how many books have been written?
A crazy number.
How many movies have been made? So yeah, so you know, you got Clark Gable, and you know, I don't even know some, you know, like.
Well, there's Red Buttons.
Yeah, there's all kinds.
There's comedians, Red Skelton.
Yeah.
Dick Tracy. Oh, that was a cartoon character. No, there was a guy, Something Tracy, was a really good actor. I forgot, but Hedy Lamarr. There's plenty of them.
So the point is that they were famous in their era. You know, what was their era? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and then something else comes along and they're like gone. You know what I mean? So being interesting is short-lived. But if you're interested in the other person and you're paying attention to the details and you're bringing up the importances of that person and you're talking about what's important to them and it's not fake. You're generally interested, especially with real estate.
Mm-hmm.
You're interested in their story and you're interested in how they do it. You will go way further than everybody else.
Yeah.
Right? I was taught as a salesman early on that, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You listen twice as much than you talk.
Yeah.
Right? So that's pretty important.
You don't have to make up something that you pretend to like. You look around, you look at the person, you find something.
Right.
If there was nothing that you're interested in, there's something wrong with you, you'll find things.
Right.
There'll be a thing on the wall with golf. And if you golf, then you got something to talk about.
Right.
A sailboat if you boat. But you'll find something that's really true.
Here's the thing is when I do it, and you just made me realize something. When I do it, I'm not thinking about, I got to figure out something to be interesting or interested in. I'm just normally a curious person.
Yeah. You should be just interested.
So I'm just interested. So when I go in a house, I'm like, there's always something that will trigger me, like, we just did this with my kids, or, my wife and I just did that, or, I just did this with Pete, or I just had this student tell me this. There's always something that connects with me. And then we just talk about that. It's because I'm generally like, it just triggered something. You know what I mean? It triggered, like, I just took my boat out and this is what happened. Or, I just had my car fixed and here's what happened, and but it's not that I'm trying to be interested. It just automatically happens because I'm just a curious person.
Well, we walked into a house just 2 days ago, and there was a slew of albums and some instruments and drums and keyboards. So they came out and I started chatting because I'm a musician. So it was a no-brainer. Listen to that.
You had a common reality.
Yeah, it was simple. So and they're there. So exercise for the day. As you go around the day, just notice the things you're actually interested in.
Right.
Wherever you are, just look around. Go find something you're interested in. Go someplace else. Find something you're interested in.
Right.
And there's things to talk about.
Good. So let's get down to some math here. Okay. Let's just because I am the deal maker, I got to talk numbers. All right. So if for some reason, and by the way, I do not subscribe. There's a right word. Subscribe to this club. Okay. But a lot of people do. If you feel like you wanted to make $1 million, if you felt like you needed $1 million to retire or that would fix your future, I broke it down mathematically. I've done this in other podcasts, but I'm going to do it again today just so we can talk about it and kind of get it out of the way, and then we're going to cover some other things, okay?
Okay.
So if you wanted to make $1 million or have $1 million, if you were to make $5,000 per deal, I'm talking profit.
Yeah.
HIP National Bank money.
Yes.
Right, in your pocket.
Yes.
Okay. You'd have to make 200 deals at $5,000. Right. Now, if you did one a month, which is possible if you just did the slot deal.
Yeah.
Right. And if you don't know what we're talking about with the different deal structures, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, and I explain each one of the strategies there. Okay. So if you did one slot deal a month, which is not hard, is it, Peter? I mean, it's not ridiculous.
No. I mean, there are people that have houses that are over leveraged or highly leveraged that they don't have another really good option to sell by, and that's the deal. There isn't like another deal except keep it.
Right.
And just hang on to it somehow.
That would take you 16 years. 16 years at one deal a month. Would take you 16 years at $5,000 a house to make $1 million.
20 months takes a long time. Yeah. Was it what, 200? 200 months. Yeah, 200 months.
Would be 200 deals at $5,000 a deal.
Got it.
Okay, now, here's the interesting part. We may have a listener that's out there that's thinking they need to make more money and the thing to do is to get a part-time job. Why not this be your part-time job? Why not work this, 12, 15 hours a week or 10 hours a week? I'm not saying you have to, but it could easily do that. I mean, if you just the free training that I give away, just the free training that we give away on this podcast. I mean, we're at show number 159, and we do them once a week. How many years is that?
I think it's been 20 years.
Exactly. So, there's plenty of training that and worst case scenario is if you really needed the specific details and wanted it all in a concise manner, then just go get my How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course. And for not a lot of money, you could do that. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's another course type for that amount of money that could make you as much for the investment.
Right. Right.
Just thinking about that, that's kind of a crazy no-brainer.
Yeah. And that's changing because I've made some decisions and we have some new things coming out. And we're not changing the price of that, but we are not going to be selling stuff for that cheap of a price. That will stay that way because I started that way and it'll change, but I have a few things coming out that will not be as inexpensive. And mostly because it takes so much work to make it, but more importantly, it's all the support and everything that goes on after the sale that I didn't realize. So I'm like working for nothing, which I don't think anybody that buys from me wants that. I mean, maybe a few, maybe a couple % of society feels like I should not make any money, but they can just go scratch and go somewhere else. So there you go. All right, so
don't hold back, Bill.
Yeah, so 200 deals at $5,000, it would take 16 years. If you wanted to make $1 million and you made $10,000 a deal, okay, you would need 100 deals. And if you did one a month, it would take you 8 years.
Right.
And that's a bit hard to do when you first start. Okay. If you did $20,000 profit per deal and you did 50 deals, it would take you 6 years. I'm sorry. It would take you 8 years at 6 a year.
Right.
So that would be one every other month.
Yeah, it's a little more realistic time frame for that kind of.
So if you wanted a part-time job and you worked your 5, 8, 10, 12 hour, 15 hours a week, right? I want to say 10 to 15 hours a week because that's real. That's a part-time job for somebody.
Yeah.
And you did 6 deals a year, right? And made $20,000 a deal, which is real, right? Which, by the way, if you make one deal, like we're doing a deal right now, right, and just wholesale, we'll probably make $40,000, right? I'm not sure, but probably. So how many deals does that cover? Obviously, 2 deals.
Yeah.
Right?
2 of these.
So you don't have to make just 20. You can make more and just count them up. But if you did $20,000 per deal and you did 50 deals, it would take you, and you did one every other month or 6 a year, it would take you 8 years. And you have $1 million.
Yeah, and obviously people would probably do a combination of these like we do.
Right.
And you have a great process of averaging things out.
Yeah.
Like you'll work for like a year or something, look back and figure how much per deal you make or how much per house it costs to renovate or how much it costs to buy that house or how many hours it took. You can figure these things out.
Right.
And then get your own number and see what realistically you're capable of. And then if you don't like it, work a little smarter, work a little harder, get a little more training.
That's how I've gotten to where I am, is by beating those averages.
Yeah, you see what you can do. Then get a little smarter, find another angle, learn something new, get better at it.
Right.
Get a little more done.
So now if you were able to make $30,000 a deal, you would need 33 deals. I'm sorry, 33 deals. 33 deals to make $1 million. So if you did the same half a dozen a year, every other month or so, it would take you 5 years.
Yep.
So if you made $30,000 a deal, right, and you did 6 a year, which is the average rehab guy, right? If he does 6 deals a year, which is not hard to make $30,000 on a rehab, absolutely not. Matter of fact, if you're making $30,000 on a rehab, you're kind of wasting your money. You're wasting your time, but you could do it, right? Now, if you made $40,000 a year, $40,000 a deal, now you need 25 deals. Now you only need 4 deals a year for 6 years.
Yep.
So if you figured out how to make $40,000 per deal, okay, you would need 25 deals, which would take you, if you did 4 a year, that would take you 6 years. And the last one I did is if you made $50,000 a deal, right, it would take 20 deals. If you did 4 a year in 5 years, you'd have $1 million.
You're not necessarily talking about buying and flipping. You could be buying a lease option and getting a deposit, getting some cash flow, some money on the sale, or are you just talking flips?
Right. So I'm talking about any way I don't care.
So could include that too.
Right. So my point is I have a coaching client that last week signed a contract, a $945,000 house. So she paid $945,000 or agreed to pay $945,000.
Yeah.
In Darien, Connecticut. Here's the point that I'm trying to make is that it's a slot deal, sandwich lease option transfer. Okay. She used $100 deposit to tie up the paperwork and get control of the house. She doesn't own it because we didn't pass a deed, but most of the you don't have to own them. You just got to control them. Right. Here's the thing. House is worth 1.1, 1.2. She's going to sell it for just over $1 million. Ron LeGrand says the more money I waller in, the more sticks to me.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what she's doing. So is it real that she could get a $50,000 deposit on that property?
I think she has to.
Right? I mean, that's like chump change. I mean, if you go get a jumbo mortgage, you need 20%. They need $200,000 down.
Yeah.
So if she were to get $100,000 down and give
that's
her seller
10%.
half of it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like a no-brainer. It's just knowing how to do it. So when I talk about these deals, doing 20 deals at $50,000, the only difference between that and doing the 200 deals is the mindset of the person that's digging for the deals. It's the deal hunting process that you're not straight on.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do deal hunting, why not? So it's kind of like this. Here's my analogy. You want to get gold, right?
Yeah.
So you could go down to the river and you can pan it. Okay? Like they did. Or you can go to the gold mine and dig for it.
Yeah.
Which one do you think is going to be better?
Oh, yeah.
They both work.
Yeah, but the little pebbles in the stream come from the
Right.
something overstream or overflow.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you can go in the gold mine and you can dig for it. You can get a pick and an axe and you can go literally where there's a gold mine where people have gotten gold before and they know how to do it and just go pick away at it.
Yep.
Right? So that's the difference. You're still getting gold.
Yeah.
The question is where are you going and how much are you going to get with your efforts?
So you're saying you could sell Chevys or you could sell Teslas.
Right.
You dress up a little better for the Teslas.
Right.
You get a bigger check.
You get a bigger commission because the Tesla sells for more money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or a Lamborghini. You could be a salesman on a Lamborghini and make a commission on a $200,000 or $300,000 sale, or you can make a commission on a $30,000 sale, right? It's like which one is better, and that's all this is just mindset.
Yep.
Right. So doing a slot deal, you don't need a real estate license, a realtor license. You don't need a long education. I mean, my free stuff could teach it to you most of the time.
A lot of people have.
Worst case scenario is you buy my How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course for $500. That's your education. I mean, where are you going to find an education that's going to get you $1 million? Right? I mean, where are you going to do that? Because it will do that if your mindset is right.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we need a little bit to do here is we need to do a little mindset reset.
Okay.
We need to do a mindset reset. The best thing to do is to decide that you can. The best thing to do is to decide what you can control instead of what you can't control. Right? Like, for example, I'm going to do a blanket example, and then I'm going to give a real estate example. So, like, if you decide you want to go on a diet and you say, I want to lose 50 pounds. Well, if you knew how to lose 50 pounds, you wouldn't have the 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's something you can't, it's not a good decision. This is what I was talking about in the beginning. It's like when I was talking about, let me go back to the description. So, yeah. So I should have probably written this in my notes. instead of having to look for it. So people are telling you, oh yeah, so shockingly, your education and what most people around you are telling you about your financial future is dead wrong. Because like if somebody says to you, you got to lose weight, you got to lose 50 pounds, right? They're telling you like what your goal should be. It's like the wrong advice. What you should do is you should think to yourself, I would like to lose 50 pounds, more like I'd like to. What can I do today? Well, I can get up half an hour earlier and I can go to the gym.
Yeah.
Or I can not eat spaghetti.
Yeah.
Or carbs. Or I can eat more protein. Or before I go to bed at night, I can go for a half-hour walk.
Right.
Right?
Substitute water for soda.
Yeah. So these are things that you can control, and those habits will eventually get you your 50 pounds lost. So what you don't want to do is kind of like the old saying is you want to eat the elephant one bite at a time, right? So that's kind of like what this is, right? So I brought to put it in real estate. Don't say I want to do 20 deals at 50 grand within 5 years. So putting it there and making that affirmation is a good thing. I'm not saying you have to have goals. But what I'm saying is as soon as you do that, what you should do is you should say, okay, so here's the idiot's guide. We're going to start working on the idiot's guide now, right? So
been looking forward to this part.
Yeah. So don't say I want to do 20 deals at 50 grand within 5 years, but instead ask yourself this. Okay. Where can I find and talk to a motivated seller who would be a good prospect for me? So where can I find that one person? I'm not telling you to find 30 of them. I'm not telling you to find, the whole 5 years worth.
No, you can't do that.
Just find one person. How can I find? Where can I go to find one person to talk to that could be motivated about real estate? So you need to find him or her and communicate with them. Right. So what are you going to communicate? First thing you're going to do is you tell them, which is step number 2, you're going to tell them that you buy houses and see if they're interested. Now, first thing you're going to do is you're going to test probably a lot of people, right? Maybe pass out a lot of business cards, talk to a lot of people, and find out who is a motivated or a prospect that is willing to talk to you about selling their house. Now, you might go through 30 people before you talk to that person. You might go through 3. You might have one already. But then you need to pre-qualify them per se. And you say to them, well, I buy houses. Are you interested? Right?
Sure.
You gotta contact them and be in two-way communication with them. You gotta, you have an idea, you share it. They have an idea, they share it. You have an idea, you pass them back and forth, and see if they match, or if they're close, or if they're close enough. You should continue to keep talking.
Okay.
Once you've established that, okay, I have found a person that is interested in talking about their real estate, and they know I buy houses, the next sequence or the next simple thing to do is just find out what they need and want. Right? And the way I do that is I say, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And that cuts through all of the other things that you might want to, mock up or dub in or put there that shouldn't be there. Right? It just kind of cuts through all that. Because one of the craziest things that I run into all the time is I hear when I survey, I just got done doing a survey. I think I've got, under 50 people that answered my survey. I think like 35 or 40 or something like that. But it's enough because I constantly survey. I'm constantly asking people what they want to learn about real estate.
Sure.
And one of the things that comes up over and over and over and over and over and over and then over and over and over and then even more and more and more is they want to learn deal structuring.
Oh.
They think that deal structuring is the talent. People actually think that my talent is deal structuring. And I have to tell you.
But you're a deal maker.
Yeah, I understand that. I have to tell you that when I'm in a house, that's like so far down on the list, it's unbelievable. Right? My communication skills and the questions I ask are much further up on the list because I have found that if you ask the right questions and you do the right things, people will make their offer and give it to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to think that hard.
Yeah.
Now all you need to do is just figure out how you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, 'cause no matter how good, I mean, think of anything you want to buy. You want to buy a pan at the store. I mean, no matter how good the salesperson is, if it's not the pan you want, it's because it's not what you need, it ain't going to happen. Right. So you're right. Your real skill is finding enough about the person to see what they really need. Because if you hit that, it's like they will help you make the deal, right? You don't have to convince them.
To my point, which I
you said it that way before.
Recently, I've been talking a lot about on my email list, which, by the way, if you're not on my email list, you should definitely get on my email list. Just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Either go to one of the free stuff and opt in on one of the free things, or just hit contact on the top right-hand side. I every day I write.
There's gems in there.
I mean, give stuff away.
There's stuff that if you do that thing, you buy a house. And here's another piece. If you do that thing, you can get in the house. If you do that thing, you can buy it better because you learned that thing.
The cool thing about my emails are they're a couple hundred words. They're very concise and they're like just very, very, because I do it every day. I write every day, right? But one of the things I was kind of on a rampage about was, you don't need a long, drawn Yale education to buy and sell houses. What you need is a hot, motivated seller, and they don't say no, and they allow you to make mistakes. They allow you to have your first deal. They don't care, because if you're doing what they need you to do, then they don't care. They'll let you fumble through it. They'll let you make the mistakes. They'll do the paperwork 2 or 3 times because you didn't do it right. How do you think I learned?
Yeah.
You just find that motivated seller, and you don't. So just by going through the deal and making the mistakes is the best education you can get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you always say, find a motivated seller. It's not convince somebody. It's not sell them. It's not impress them with the deal.
They're already motivated.
Yeah, because if they're not, none of that stuff actually can work. And when you do find them, they say yes, then they say yes, then they say yes. And it's true. They're not hard to deal with. Yep. Of course, not everybody is, but you find the guy as the talent, just to find them.
The talent is having a thick enough skin to get to them. Because maybe you call 20 people, 30 people, 50 people. Maybe it takes you a month. Maybe it takes you a year. Maybe it takes you 3 years.
Yeah.
I've got coaching clients that have been at it, and they just they keep coming back at me. They've been with me for one of them's been with me almost a year.
Yeah.
And a little bit is they both have jobs and they put their time in, but they just haven't struck that chord yet.
Yeah.
And once you I talked about this in the meetup the other day, which I probably shouldn't do this on the airways, but I don't give a shit, so I'm going to do it anyways. It's like having sex.
Oh, we came up with a better example for you.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was now either.
I didn't like him. Oh, driving was it? But it's like having
sex. It's not as sexy.
Emma says,
background, she goes, driving. Emma, hold your ears.
It's like,
can't stand when Dad talks about sex.
You could talk about it. You could see pictures of it. You could blah, 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 blah. Until you actually do it and experience it, you have no idea what it's like.
But the part that I didn't get was you said, like, the first time isn't so good?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, well, I wasn't going to talk about that, but now that you brought it up, I mean, it's very much like that, because the first time you do it, it's not a pleasurable experience the first time you have sex, right? But you like it, it's something, and you do it again, and and next thing you know, it's like it's something you desire because you got good at it. Mm-hmm. I mean, so there's nothing me or any other person could teach you to prevent that. Mm-hmm. It's not, you just got to go through it. So why not find a motivated seller that's willing to let you make those mistakes and fumble around and get through it so that you can experience it, and those experiences will lunge you into the future.
Right.
So get through those first couple of deals. Mm-hmm. And just get that out of the way.
But the lesson here is you have to understand that's the case. Do not try to convince people. Right. Do not try to impress them how smart you are and how much you can help them. If they're not motivated, it won't happen. You'll break your heart and you'll think it doesn't work. Just recognize it for what it is. You're fishing and you just caught like a can.
Right.
Move on.
Right.
You catch a shoe. Move on. It's a shoe. Don't convince the shoe to be a fish. You can't.
Right.
Move on. Say a few things, and if you don't hit the chord, move on, and you'll get a fish.
Right. So we're going back to the steps. So the first step that I was talking about is that you work. So the first thing you should ask yourself is, where can I find and talk to a motivated seller who would be a good prospect?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they're selling a house. Right. Now we found that for sale by owners is the best for that.
Yeah.
Right. Then tell them that you buy houses and see if they're interested. Then you're going to find out what do they really need and want. And the way we do that is I ask, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today?
Mm-hmm.
It's a perfect way to do that. Once they tell you, now you use one of my 7 deal strategies to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or to make the deal. And if you don't know what those are, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. And there's 8 videos there that will take you, I don't know, an hour, 90 minutes to get all of it. It's not a long, will you go back and check them? Yeah. But to understand it, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't question anything. Notice the name of the URL. Free stuff.
Yeah.
Flippinghouses.com.
How'd you come up with that name?
Free stuff.
How'd you come up with that?
Yeah, exactly. Good. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So now that they tell you what you want, they say, well, I want, they're always going to say, I want $200,000 and the house is worth $200,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you tell them, okay, here's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And you use one of the 7 deal strategies that I taught you. Is it going to be the best deal for him? No. But you start with that,
mm-hmm.
right? I want all cash. Okay, here's how it works.
Mm.
And you just tell them and let them decide. So that's what I'm going to cover that in a minute.
Yeah, but you also get other great gems of information, like I need to move in such and such time.
Yep.
I've had people tell me I don't want all the money at once because I pay too much taxes. I would do payments if I could.
Right.
They'll tell you stuff like that. So, payments? Well, we can do payments. They'll tell you a few things that'll help you understand which deal might actually work for them.
Well, let's talk about the house we were in yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a 2-family house in the front and a single-family house in the back.
Right.
Right? And the guy's 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say about the money? What was the most impinging part about that deal? And towards the end, when we were upstairs in the second apartment, and I asked him about his daughter.
Sure. He didn't want the daughter or the other daughter to be involved with handling the hassle of the house. He just wanted them to get the money. And it would be fine if they got payments, so they have a cash flow coming.
Right.
And the taxes are better, whatever. But he would preferred payments would be fine directly to my daughter. I don't need to be involved.
So he inherited this house. He got it for free.
Yeah.
It's worth $200,000. He's asking $200,000.
Uh-huh.
He's 80 years old. He point blank said, because I asked him, so I'm confused about this because you're telling me you want your daughter to have this house like in your estate.
Mm.
Does that mean that if we do a deal now, I'm going to start paying her now, so you're not getting any of the money?
Mm-hmm.
He said, correct.
Yep.
He said, I have enough money to live off of.
I don't need the money.
I just want the headache to go away, and I want to give her the money.
Yeah, and not give her a headache down the road.
Right.
He's 80, and he knows his diet. He was actually doing work outside. He was, trimming weeds and stuff.
Right.
And he looked good, but he was 80. He didn't need to do that.
Yeah, he didn't look 80.
No,
so
it was still annoying.
So the point that I'm trying to say is that he had his problem was he wants to give the daughter the money without all the hassle.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, he knows that the property has some issues. So for him to go through a conventional sale, it'd be more work for him.
Yeah.
To bring it up to snuff to get a conventional sale because there's some things going on there that a bank would probably poo-poo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we are his perfect solution. Now I haven't even made him an offer. This is my world. We talked to him 2 days ago, and I haven't even made him an offer because I haven't had time because I'm too busy doing everything else. Right? Mm-hmm. So, which we're going to do today. The point is that if we didn't spend an hour or 90 minutes with him, talking to him and kind of going through the apartment, he didn't even take us to the apartments. He had one of his tenants take us to the apartments.
Yeah.
He like opened the door. He says, "Here's Pete and Bill. Talk to him." And he went back downstairs and kept weeding. And we spent a half an hour talking to the tenants.
Yeah, that's also really good because they'll tell you stuff.
Right.
If they have little complaints, they'll
Right.
they'll ask questions about the crack in the ceiling and stuff.
Point is that once now that I've gotten all the data and I know what he wants, I can now pick one of the strategies on how I'm going to purchase.
Sure.
In that particular case, I'm going to do owner financing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
Hey, Bill, I thought it was funny. He hadn't met the tenants upstairs.
yeah,
He opened the door and he introduced himself like
yeah,
he must have had somebody book it for him,
I don't know.
gets a check, but he hadn't even met them.
yeah.
Can you imagine that? So he gets the thing inherited. And it's just a paycheck in the mailbox, except once in a while he's got to go pull weeds and stuff and fix a toilet because he can do it. Otherwise, he never meets the people even.
Yep.
What a lucky guy.
Well, that he said the reason why he got the property is because he was married and it was his in-laws, and then they got divorced. But he kept doing work for the older people, and he ended up giving it.
They all died and said, "I give it to him." But he was a nice guy. He showed some interest and some care, even though he was divorced from the daughter.
Right.
The parents died. The daughter
That's what we were
dies.
talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, be nice
He
to
was
people.
interested.
Yeah, take care of people.
Yeah.
And
So-
not to be like maybe they'll give me something. Just be nice, and
Right.
life will be better.
So I don't want folks that are listening to this to make this hard or confusing. Let the chips just fall where they're going to fall. Right. When you ask the question, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? Right. And then once that happens, here's what's going to happen. Now, you should take notes of this because I don't have this anywhere unless you hear me in a meetup, which, by the way, you can see all of our meetups if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. The top right-hand side, you click on courses. It's called eReum, which is Electronic Real Estate Meeting. Okay, so it's our eReum, and for a few bucks a month, you can get all of our live meetings. You can watch them online.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you want to see this stuff, or we're talking about the meeting, and you live in another state and you can't come, you have an opportunity. We just came out with that last month. It's called eReum. So just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/courses, or just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and go to courses on the top link on the top right hand side, and it'll bring you there. It says eReum, and you can see what it's all about there. Okay. The last month I covered this in the RIA. I mean, in the RIA, in the real estate meeting, and it's so now they say, okay, what would have to happen for me to buy your house today? And they give you an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now here's what you got to do. The next thing. Okay. And the next thing is you got to figure out one or two things. Are they willing to take a deep discount if they want all cash? Right. So take a deep discount, and that's like down in the 70% minus repairs type of atmosphere.
Right.
Okay. Or are they willing to let you or your buyer make payments until they can get paid off, which is what we call a terms deal, right? So once you figure out which one of those two it is, first of all, if they answer you that they will take a deep discount, like we just bought a house that we closed on 2 days ago that the guys are working on today, we got a deep discount. We got a deep.
You had a discount and then a discount, then a deep. Yeah,
deep discount. I mean, we did a.
You did a good job.
I did a really good job with that.
You did.
So the point is that if they don't want to, if they're not willing to give you a deep discount, that's okay as long as they're willing to let you make payments on their equity every month.
Right.
Right. So free and clear house, you ask them, are you willing to let me make payments on your equity every month until I can get you paid off? Or are you willing to let me take over your debt until I get it paid off? Mm-hmm. Right. The point is you're making monthly payments until you can get it paid off. So who's making those monthly payments? Your buyer, not you. So don't get nervous. Okay. So once you figure out that they're going to do one of those two things, which, by the way, the sooner you can figure that out, the quicker you know you have a prospect or suspect, because a suspect will say no to either one of those.
Sure.
So it's a very good indicator of a suspect because they will immediately say no deep discount and no, I won't pick payments.
Yeah.
And that's a major indicator that they're a suspect.
Yeah.
Or a
story.
massive deliberator. They need to think about it and blah, 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 blah. Sometimes you can convert them, but in the beginning, you're not looking for those. Those are where I do well. That's where your negotiating skills and your sales skills come involved. If you don't have negotiating skills or sales skills, or you're a bit of an introvert and don't like to talk to people, just stay away from those. Just figure out right away where the low-hanging fruit is, the motivated sellers.
But there is some wording in the scripts that'll get you at least a couple of shots at it. It's not black and white. There's a few lines. You can go back and forth a teeny bit, write in the script.
Right.
And if there's any chance, you'll catch it there.
And you can find those scripts at flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff.
Yeah, that's what you need. There's your what do I say?
Okay, so now that you figured out they're going to take a deep discount, or they're going to let you make payments until you can pay them off. Now what you need to know is, now that you know the seller's motivation, because that's what it is, his motivation, cash or terms, which is what we just talked about, you'll need to know how you'll have to pay for the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only 4 ways that you can pay for any deal. There's only 4 ways, and we've actually had shows on this. Right, you go back and look. You'll see the how do I finance my first deal?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. I'll get it for you.
Which one?
This down.
Yeah, and this is not counting putting your own money in. This is getting money for it.
Yeah. So that is episode. I should have looked this up before. Give it to Emma, she can look it up. So I'll get Emma to figure out. But there's a whole episode on that. But the 4 ways to get money for your deals are these 4 ways. The bank, right? Which most people think that's where you
is the only way.
The only place that has money is a bank, which is not true.
Yeah, and I've got some people I know personally that hey, we bought a house for investment. Like, what'd you do? Like, we got a bank loan.
Yeah. And
they're renting it, so they spent even if they got a reasonable down payment, they still spent thousands to get back hundreds a month. And I kind of like the other way, spend hundreds to make thousands.
Right.
That's what we try to do.
So the 4 places to get money for the loan is the bank. 114. Oh, so Emma says it's episode number 114. We talk about how to get the money for your deals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Episode number 114. Thank you, Emma. There's another one we did after that too. Could you check that? How to get the money for your first deal. So from the bank, second one is from the hard money lender. Third one is from a private money lender, which often is people that have IRA money or retirement money and don't know it, or they have equity in their house, or something like that. And the last way is from your buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So Emma says, thank you, Emma. Episode number 146 talks about how you can get money for your first deal. And we talk about this in great deal. We talk about the difference between the bank, the hard money lender, the private lender, where to find private lenders, how to find private lenders, how to Google and get anywhere from 10 to 50 grand, like easily to do some of your deals. Okay. That's all in episode number 147. What you and I specialize in is getting the buyer to fund the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to do the second deal, which is how to make payments until you can pay them off, we're going to go find our buyer to make those payments and pay whatever down payment money or deposit money or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Now here's the thing. So we're clear on that, right? So first we're going to figure out which one is it. Do they get a deep discount, or are they willing to let us pay until we can pay it off? Once we figure that out, now we know how we can pay for the deal. We're going to use a bank, we're going to use a hard money lender, we're going to use a private lender, or we're going to use the buyer to pay for the deal, right? Now, here's the thing. If it's a deep discount, you would most likely use one or two, from the bank or from a hard money lender, okay? If it's a terms deal, which is paying monthly until it's paid off, you would probably use 3 or 4, which is from a private lender and the buyer.
Right.
Okay? That's usually how it is. Now, you can use the private lender and the buyer to buy a deep discount house. So you can use them either way, but it's usually the way I just said. a deep discount, you're going to use the bank or the hard money lender. And if you're buying a terms deal, like a subject to deal, and only because you might buy a subject to deal, and like for example, we just bought this house that we're doing, and we bought the house, right? And then so there's buying the house, and then there's like repairs or maintenance or things you might have to do to get your buyer in there.
Sure.
Right? You might have to clean it up, or you might have to paint, or you might have to do some of that, and you don't have the capital, so you would use a private lender to do that. Okay, so they could be used any which way, but it's most likely that usually if you're doing a deep discount, you're going to use the banker and the hard money guy, and then when you're doing terms deals, you're going to use the private lender and the buyer to fund the deal.
Right.
Okay, so that go listen to the other episodes, episode number 114 and episode number 147, and you'll get a lot more reality on that. Okay. Now I want to give you a little checklist. Okay, because it's the end of the show and we got to get out of here. I want to give you a little checklist of how you can actually create a financial future. Okay, so this is like the hardcore idiot's guide. Okay. So number 1, go download our FSBO script at flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff. Once you get it and print it, second thing you need to do is you need to read it and look up any words that you don't understand. A good indication of that is if you get to the bottom of the page and you don't realize what you just read, or maybe you feel like you got a headache, or maybe you're yawning, or maybe you got a stomach ache or something like that. Just there's some word or symbol there that you don't understand. Go figure it out. Look it up in a dictionary. Make sure you read all the definitions. It'd be wise if you make some sentences with the word once you looked it up, so you apply it and understand it. It would make sense. Okay.
Examples, draw pictures.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Anything like that. Okay. Then once you do that, once you're obvious and figure out what those are, right? Which, by the way, hang on one second here. I'll get to that. So at that point, once you've figured out whatever words you don't understand, I want you to handwrite this thing 10 times. So take the script, a yellow notepad or some blank paper, and handwrite it. What that does is make you very familiar with the words. And if there's something that you keep stumbling on, or writing it incorrectly, or you keep making a mistake on, that's the misunderstood. Look that word up right before where you make the mistake. Look the word up right before that and figure it out. Okay? But handwrite it at least 10 times. Then I want you to role play with at least 5 different people. Okay, so first you're going to download the script, then you're going to make sure you understand all the words, and then you're going to make sure you handwrite it 10 times, and then I want you, once you feel like you've actually duplicated or understood or actually make it your own, and I don't want you to change the words or I want you to be able to just read it, but read it without stumbling and without making mistakes. I want you to make it your own. Now you're going to find 5 people and go practice with 5 people. Do some role playing and practice with 5 people. Okay. Now that you've done that, I want you to go find 10 for sale by owners. And the way you do that is you type into Google your city, your county, or your state, depending on how many you want. So in my case, it would be Wallingford for sale by owners, Wallingford or Wallingford for sale by owners, or it would be New Haven County for sale by owners, or it would be Connecticut for sale by owners. And that's where we are. So that's first would be the city or the town, the second would be the county, and the third would be the state. And the more you cast the net, the more names you're going to get. Once you do that, the Zillow is usually the biggest. One that you're going to find. I want you to go find 10 for sale by owners. Okay, the way you find those 10 for sale by owners is you take a look at them and you see if they're in a hot market or cold market. A definition of a hot market is that the houses sell within 30 days. A cold market is they sell over 90 days. The sweet spot is between 45 and 60 days. That's a good time period. I don't want you to have paralysis of analysis and spend a week trying to find these houses. It's just an indicator. The good thing is, the good, and the bad is the good, bad, and the ugly. There you go.
Yeah.
When you find a house in the first one where they're like houses are hard to buy
in a hot market.
But easy to sell.
Yeah.
And a colder or cooler market, when they're over 90 days, they're easy to buy, but they're harder to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is why we talk a lot about not selling the house. You're actually selling the financing, because we prefer the latter of the two. Okay, but when you're looking on the for sale by owners, don't go doing just this, because you may not find it. But the best prospects to call are usually that 45 to 60 day mark. Mm-hmm. So if you can find 10 of those, jot down their numbers, and then call with the for sale by owner script. Okay. So make 1 to 5 phone calls a day, depending on your time. Right. So 1 to 5 phone calls a day. You should be able to, if you're doing more than 20 phone calls that way, and you're not getting an appointment, you're doing something wrong. Go back and you have a misunderstood word or something you're saying that you don't understand. Go back and do 1 through 5, like we were just talking about. Just do it again.
And in the coaching, ask the people if you're doing something wrong.
Right.
If it just sound like insincere, or you don't speak well, or just something, or you sound angry, or just something stupid.
The other suggestion I have is and we're just kind of dumping this on you. Download the software called Audacity. It's for free, and record yourself. Put your phone on speaker. Be in a room that's quiet. Record it on your computer, and then when you're done talking to the person, go back and listen to your own phone call, and you'll realize that you're being angry, or you're saying things you shouldn't be, and you're your best coach.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're making more than 20 phone calls and you haven't made an appointment, there's something wrong. Go back and fix it. Okay. In the meantime, if you do talk to 20 people and it does work, you are going to make an appointment. And I don't care about the appointment at the beginning. I don't just go on any appointment. I'm talking about a nose-to-nose, toe-to-toe offer. You're going to go out to a deal meeting, and you're going to talk about how you're going to actually find an offer and make it. Now, to do that, go to episode number 151, because we went through a whole thing of what you do when you're in the house in episode number 151. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, you'll need to make up to 15 offers, nose-to-nose, toe-to-toe, before you actually get a deal. So it could be number 1 or number 2, or it could be number 15. And if you're not practicing your scripts or doing what you need to do, then it could be number 20.
Yeah.
But realize if you're making one offer a month, it's going to take you a year and a half to get a deal. And that's what's going on. You just need to talk to new people. You need to get out there and talk to more and more people, and that's what's going to get you. That's what's going to get you your wealth.
Yeah. I actually think it's possible. When I do calls, which isn't every day, but when I do calls, I just call till I get an appointment, till I get something. Because if you do it right, they say no pretty quick. They're not motivated. Don't spend a half an hour with a suspect.
Right. Which is why our script has the wording it has in the very first few lines, so that you don't have to do that.
Yeah. 5 minutes tops, you're off the phone.
Right.
So in an hour, you should get something that's worth going to look at. Right. So then you can stop and say, yay, have a win, and go do it.
So the one, whether you close on 1 or 2 or 15 or 20, really is going to come down to your education on how you talk to people and the sales and all the different things that we talk about. It's just a matter of how much do you role play? How much do you know your scripts? How good are you in the house? How good are you with people skills? I mean, that stuff I can adjust. If you're an introvert and not good with people, then you need more work than the guy that's extroverted and talks to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like me and Emma. Wherever I go, I'm talking to everybody. Emma would rather just go into a restaurant and just have her food and just leave and barely talk to the waitress. And it's just who we are. It's our personalities. It's nothing good, nothing bad, but it would take her a lot longer to work through that stuff than it would me.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just examples, okay? So once you do this, you're going to just rinse and repeat it as much as you want money. So if you're looking to build a financial future, you can decide to do the 16 deals that we talked about to make $1 million, or you can decide to do the 4 deals, depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to people with $1 million homes and you want to make $50,000 commissions or fees, they're not commissions, they're fees, then you can do that. Or maybe you're in a neighborhood where you got a do slot deals because everything's over leveraged, and you're going to make $5,000 a deal. Then you need to do your 16 deals, but just do something. Just pick one and do it. You
want to plan out your future when you're a certain age, but from day to day, if you're making $5,000 more a month, I don't think you're going to be upset.
Right.
Right. Every month, another five. You're doing way better.
And you put that towards some retirement or something like that. I wasn't able to prepare for this, but when we were at the show the other day, we were talking to a guy that did a whole life. I'm going to get him on my coaching call, and we're going to talk about that, where you could actually buy whole life insurance. And there was a second sentence to that, which I missed. I need to talk to him again.
It's whole life insurance with some added feature.
Indemnity or something like that.
It's something that allows you to take money out of it.
So what you do is you put the money in the whole life, and then a year later you could take it back out and still have the whole life in place.
Did they make you wait a whole year?
Yeah.
I missed that part, but they make you to let you take I thought it was in the first year you can take 60% out. In the second year you could take 70% out. We'll clarify that for you though. But you can take it out.
The point is it's a good way. Once I get that figured out, we'll start talking about the guy and start tell you who he is and all that stuff. But
this is an example.
The point is if you make $5,000, you put it into a fund like that, and at the end of the year, all of a sudden you got $50,000 in that fund. You're on your way for a financial future.
This is an example of asset protection or moving into circles with people that have money and figure out ways to hang on to it so you can optimize it, leverage better, not just give it away and throw it away.
Right. Yeah, these people are of the level, the people we were with this weekend are of the level that they're past learning how to make money. They know how to make money. They're at the point where they're, how do I protect it and make it grow?
Yeah.
And that's the level they're in the how to make it grow. So these guys are looking for $10 million, $15 million deals, because they have the assets, because they've done well.
Yep.
Right. So, all right.
It's good to know people.
Yeah. So I need to cover this though, before we go, because I'll get support tickets and all kinds of blah, 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 blah. So they're going to be like, what about the paperwork? No, what about the paperwork? Okay. So there's two things I want you to know about the paperwork. Number one, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have a new product on my website, and I probably won't promote it a lot. Maybe in the beginning I might talk about it, but it's going to have every single document that I own. It's going to have all my contracts. It's going to have anything in there. It's not going to be $500. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to be $10,000 either, but it's going to be a reasonable price. I'm going to have every document that I own, and I got to tell you that it'll probably be somewhere around a couple grand. But I got to tell you, there's one document in there that I use for my deposits that cost me $6,000. There's several documents
from the lawyer to make for you.
Yeah, there's several documents in there that cost me $3,500 for individual documents. So there will be tens of thousands of dollars worth of documents that I use, and they will be good no matter where you are in the country, because I've had coaching clients use them, and they're all good. Okay, so. If you insist on having the paperwork, I will have all that in a product pretty soon. In the meantime, if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and go to courses, if you go to how to buy real estate without a loan course, the $500 course, all the lease documents and subject to documents are in there. It doesn't have some of my notes and stuff like that. The stuff that I'm gonna the other thing, all the other stuff, but it does have definitely how to do a slot deal, how to do an option deal, how to do a lease option deal, and how to do a getting the detail. All those documents are there, and there's videos explaining how to use them. Okay, so for $500 right now, you can go get those documents. So I don't want to hear about that anymore, about the documents, because I'm tired of answering those emails. So in conclusion, I did want to say this. I've done a few hundred deals and are still doing deals currently.
Yep.
Right? Which you know.
We is.
I have helped hundreds of students to do the same. After all, I mean, I'm technically, at the end of the day, I'm a successful real estate investor coach. I teach people how to real estate invest.
Yep.
I've done over. I can't count it because I don't want to go back and pull all the field deals. But I personally in my own business, have done over $50 million worth of real estate. So, not to be a hot shot, but I feel like I have something to offer.
You might have learned a few things along the way. We'll give you that, Bill.
So out of all of this, I just wanted to end off, and I know we're over, And I know this podcast is a little bit longer than normal. If you stuck out this long, I want you to really listen to this. In fact, I'm probably going to have Emma take this section out, this audio out, and we're going to put it somewhere else. Because here's the most important thing that I have learned from doing all these deals and all these years and years and years of work. This is what I've learned, and I would like for you to understand this, or the listener to understand this. This is so powerful, but yet so simple that I don't want you to not heed my words. Okay? So here they are. So in order for you to decide to do something, you have to understand it. If you don't understand something, you won't say yes, or you won't do it.
Or you can't do it.
Right? Or in other words, if you don't understand something, you won't do anything. So there's people out there.
And if you're in doubt.
Right. So there's people out there that haven't done real estate or have had problems with doing real estate. That just means that they need to go figure out how to do that. Okay, so you figure out how to do something like that. For those people that have analysis of paralysis and have been studying real estate and have not done anything, here is my suggestion. Go to Amazon right now. Amazon right now. And buy the book, The Power of Words, written by Sean Clouden. It's S-E-A-N. Sean, S-E-A-N, C-L-O-U-D-E-N. The Power of Words, written by Sean Clouden. That is your problem. I'm not mixing words. I'm telling you, I've done hundreds of deals. I've had lawyers and accountants and students. It always comes down to the same thing. If you don't understand something, you're either going to do it wrong or you're not going to do anything at all.
And neither are good.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, if you read that book, it's a $13 book. It will change your life. Every coaching client that I've ever had buy that book or have bought it and read it have excelled beyond stupidity. I mean, it's like...
And
it's
beyond that even.
Yeah, it's stupid how well they do.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
That's how we do this. Right. I got this just a few years ago, and if it wasn't for that knowledge, I wouldn't be able to pick this up as fast as I did and not feel unsure, beyond a reasonable expectation, but I can figure it out. I can get it. I can do it. Okay, I got it. I learned the next thing. Okay, I can get it. I got it. I learned the next thing. Next.
Right.
But you need that kind of ability, and it's not taught in school.
Right.
It is not. If you had a course about how to study, you didn't get one.
Right.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah. Okay, so once you actually... So if you're one of those people, then just go get that book. Or you could just follow this little checklist that I'm talking about here, this little checklist we just talked about. And you can actually see, here's what most people don't understand, is probably the best education is observation. If you just observe how somebody does something or how something is or how somebody has done it before you, you're better off. Here's the problem with observation. It takes too long.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to figure out how to go do something by observing how somebody else does it, why do all that if somebody before you has already done it for you and has completely organized it so you can get it easily? And if you still don't understand it, then you need to read Sean Clouden's book and you need to figure out why you're not duplicating the words or why you're not applying what you learn.
Yeah.
There's a specific science to it that is amazing.
Yeah. And it's not like, I get the words, but I don't get that whole idea. It ain't that way.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
It's everything boils down to one word at a time.
Right.
Anything in this world is like a chain. You
Right.
break a piece of the chain, it's gone.
Right.
So it can be, you can have one crazy misunderstanding and blow it.
Right. So you can spend a whole lifetime observing how to do it, and at the end of your life have done 10 houses, or you can follow somebody like me and pay for somebody else's observation skills that have it organized so you can understand it and do 10 houses a year for 20 years.
Sure. But a real basic thing that I like to repeat is follow successful people.
Yeah.
Find somebody who knows how to golf well, basketball, garden, houses, sell. I don't care what it is, but follow them because they did it right. Just see what you can learn from them.
So, Pete, I am not starting a fan club on how to smoke cigars.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Boo.
Bill, cut the end, light the end. Bill, cut the end, light the end, and suck.
Boo. I suck, all right. All right,
Suck
number
on
2.
the cigar.
Number 2. So that's the first thing is if so if you don't understand something, you won't do it. Now, what I want to do is I want to flip it around the other way, because if your seller doesn't understand something, they don't do it as well. So your job is to make sure you explain it to them, and I'm going to get into that, how you do that right now. I know it's at the end of the podcast. It should technically be another podcast, but I couldn't.
I don't think you've ever talked about this part from this angle, but it's totally true.
So when doing deals, here's how you do it. When doing deals, your seller doesn't usually understand.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to agree on a few numbers, and then it makes it a lot easier. So here are the 4 numbers that you need to agree on.
Okay.
And then the rest is easy. You need to agree on the price. You need to agree on how much the payments are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You need to agree on the terms, how long it's going to be. And then you need to agree on whether or not you have to give them a deposit or not give them a deposit. I don't talk about number 4 very often. Only if they ask. Or if you're doing an option, how much is the option consideration money going to be? Is it $10, $100, $50? How much it's going to be, right? So those numbers are, first you need to do the price, and you do these in sequence.
One at a time.
And then you talk about the payment, right? Even if you're going to the bank and borrow money from the bank, you still need to figure out how much the payment is, because how are you going to be able to sell it and make money if you don't?
Sure.
Right? So the payment is next. Then you're going to figure out how long you're going to pay for it. Is it going to be for 12 months, or is it going to be for 12 years, or is it going to be for no date, like the end of the loan? Yep. Now, here's the thing. Once you have those numbers, you've agreed with your seller that this is the price, this is the payment, this is the term.
Mm-hmm.
You don't let them start making random decisions in the process, and you don't have them decide on something other than the 1 through 4 that we just talked about. So the decision process is, what's the price, what's the payment, what's the term, and how much of a deposit. Once you do that, then you start to politely tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have them choose.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to do the deal.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know how to do that. So you need to start telling them, do this, do that, do this.
Mm-hmm. Like you need some information, for example. Like, I need to know exactly what these numbers are. Can you get that for me?
Right.
Or can you find out about whatever it is?
Right. So let's just take a common deal. Let me think here. Okay. So suppose we're doing a getting the deed deal, a subject to deal. Mm-hmm. So we decided that they're going to sell to us for what they owe. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the price.
Mm-hmm.
They decided that they're going to let us take over their mortgage payment, so that then we decided on what the payments are going to be. And we decided that we're going to, when we get our buyer to pay it off, they'll pay it off. It's in 5 years or 10 years. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So we have our term.
Yep.
Now I say to them, okay, I need your mortgage statement.
Right. Notice that you never said in there, we're going to do a terms deal.
Right.
We're going to do a lease option, because
they don't know what that means.
Okay, listeners, how long did it take you, if you have, figured out what Bill's explaining and how these deals work one at a time? How long does it take you to really, can you explain that again? So you're not going to, in 5 minutes, explain it to the seller so they get it. They're not going to. Right. So just don't talk about that stuff. Just talk about, can we do this? Can we do that? Don't even put names to it.
Right.
It's just this and that.
Just figure out the price, figure out the payment, figure out how long you're going to go. Now you say to them, okay, I need to see your mortgage statement.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. I need you to figure out where you're going to live, where you're going to go. Let's decide right now where you're going to live.
Right. Why do we have to? What? Oh, because they won't leave unless they have a place to go to. If
then
they're living
you
in a
have
house.
to decide, how are they going to move? right? You have to decide: are you going to get a moving company?
Really?
Do you need my help? And you go through the process with them.
You even have to do that part?
Yeah, because otherwise they may not know how to do it.
No, we did have one last year. Like we thought they were going to be moving. It took longer to get things out and to leave. It took a few more days.
By the way, if you're worried about all this stuff in the How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all these scripts, all that stuff is there. So the point is that the only decision process that you really need to do is you need to figure out the three most important numbers, which is the price, the payment, and the terms. And if you have a deposit money, figure that out too.
Yeah.
Okay. Then from there, you take control and walk them through the process.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't do that, you won't make a deal. You're not willy-nilly. You just tell them, do this next. Politely, do this next. They've already agreed to do the deal with you. There's no more should we, shouldn't we. It's done. Once you do the deal, the 3 or 4 numbers, which is the price, the payment, the terms, and the option consideration deposit or the deposit. Once you've done that, you just get through the deals. What blows deals, Peter? Attorneys
who?
and realtors.
I was saying what? Who? Yeah. Yeah.
And what blows the deals is that once they've made that decision with you, all of a sudden the attorney and the realtors get in the middle and tell them they should think about this and think about that, and they start deciding when they don't know, they don't understand, so how could they decide?
Yeah.
They're going to these people looking for a decision because they don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And they get over there and they get more confused, and what happens when somebody gets confused, they don't make a decision.
Yeah, you can't. So the decision is always no.
So
you can't say yes.
In final, this is where if it's not written, it's not true. If they are going to go to a realtor, if they are going to go to an accountant, if they are going to go to a lawyer or an attorney, here's what happens. You put documents together and communicate directly to that person through the document so that it's a communication between you and that person. Right. I don't care if it's a letter of intent. Like I just did a deal with one of my coaching clients with somebody I knew in Connecticut that the deal, I left it up to my coaching client and a few other people, and it blew up. And what I did is I wrote a 2-page, maybe it was 3-page, I think it was a 2-page land contract that explained everything. It took took everything out of it. It took me a couple hours to write the deal. But the point is this, and that's stuff that will be in my paperwork that I'm talking about. Okay. Of course, what I'm talking about is I wrote that document. I gave it to my seller, who I was consulting, and also my coaching client. Mm-hmm. She gave it to her lawyer. The ex-husband gave it to his banker. And the buyer gave it to his crew. And everybody said yes. We had to make one change in one paragraph that was one sentence. And the deal got put back together because it was me communicating to all them on their behalf.
Yeah. So you had everybody covered and there was no what ifs left.
Right.
So, because that's what kills it. But what if? And so that was like 2 or 3 pages.
They had decided on the price.
Yep.
They had decided on the payment. They had decided on the terms.
Oh, boy.
But they didn't have it all in writing so that everybody understood it.
Huh.
The guy that was buying the property, who's another guy like us from Arizona, did a horrible job explaining a slot deal. Okay? So what did I do? I knew what the price was. I knew what the payment was. I knew what the term was. And then I just told everybody, here's what we're doing. And I did it with one document. Here's how we're going to do it. And I controlled the entire deal where nobody understood what was going on with the right words and the right documents.
Yeah.
So
the power of words, Bill?
The end of the show, the power of words is how you're going to make money. I don't care what you think. I don't care what I'm just being so blunt. It's ridiculous. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. I don't care about any of your thoughts right now. If you do not heed my advice, I've never said this before on a podcast. I've never said this before in a live seminar. I've never, ever said this. But for some reason, This week, I've decided it's on my mind, so we're going to talk about it.
Yep.
You will not buy real estate if you don't listen to this. I've never been to a closing where the house signs the documents. Mm-hmm. It's people. Mm-hmm. The way you talk to people, the way you understand people, the way you structure deals with people is the entire business. And if you think for 1 second that you're going to muddle through this on social media or texting somebody or trying to do it in a non-confront way, you're in the wrong business. Mm-hmm. This is a people business. And the way you communicate to them and the way you understand them and the way you make sure they understand you is vital to your success. So this last 15 or 20 minutes of this podcast, which should have been a whole nother podcast, which I'll probably will never talk about again because I got it off my chest and we're done. Mm-hmm. The point is that this is a life changer for your career if you get this. So please listen to this recording again. Please don't make fun of me because I did a 90-minute podcast. I don't care. I'm done. You don't want to listen to it, just don't listen to it.
You want to make $1 million? Listen for 90 minutes.
I'm telling you, these are things that most gurus don't talk about because they're not sexy. Mm. But it's the meat and potatoes of this business.
Yeah, this is the stuff that actually buys house. This is not the stuff that sells things.
Right.
You hear all the flashy things, the shiny objects, and you go buy stuff.
Right.
This is the stuff that gets the job done.
Right.
Pick one.
So the shiny objects will get a house bought or 2 houses bought, but they're not going to make a career. They're not going to give you a financial future. Mm-hmm. They're not going to make it so that you can live off of your application of the materials. That's it. It's that simple. Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.